It's time for Hog Sports Live from HawgSports.com, a division of 24/7 Sports, presented by Crain Automotive. The Crain Team's got 'em. Visit them online at crainteam.com. And now with the latest breaking updates on Hog Sports, here's Trey Biddy.
What's up, everybody? Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, HAWGsports.com. Happy New Year to all of you, and happy Portal Eve as well. I know a lot of you guys are taking a well-deserved day off. If you work in sports like I do, then holidays are work days. So the show goes on. Danny West is going to hop on with us to help break down all the latest roster madness. We're going to talk to Connor Goodson as well, because Arkansas is about to start SEC play in basketball. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. The Crain Automotive Team has 16 locations across our state and is home to the Crain commitment. You'll find Ford, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Hyundai, Kia, Volkswagen, and access to thousands of pre-owned vehicles. Vehicles for every lifestyle and every budget. Even if you're not in the market for a vehicle, the Crain Team service centers offer the latest in vehicle diagnostic technology and certified technicians to take care of your vehicle, get you back on the road. Check them out at crainteam.com. Hog Sports Live is driven by the Crain Automotive Team.
You've done it. Now you're the Crain Cash Champ. You just won big with the Crain Team. Go ahead, soak it up. How could you not feel like a winner? You dominated with our low price guarantee, and you got way more for your trade. Plus, with statewide delivery on thousands of vehicles from 16 locations, and the fact that we'll beat any other dealer's price, we make our Kansans feel like champions every day. That's winning. That's the Crain Team. Visit crainteam.com.
Day. Champions every day. What's that like? I want to feel like that. So right now we've got Texas Tech and Oregon on in front of me. It's a 3-0 game, Oregon. It's kind of crazy to think about. I was talking with somebody at the university who was, obviously there's been a lot of turnover with the University of Arkansas, but they were at Arkansas last year, and they were just like, man, it's kind of wild to think about. And, last year Arkansas was beating Texas Tech like a drum. Just a few days ago, a year ago, we were watching Isaac Tesla do handstands on those guys, and now they're in the college football playoff. A lot can change in 1 year. A lot can change, and a lot's going to change with Arkansas also. But it's a great day for college football, obviously. Texas Tech and Oregon going right now. Then at, what time is that? 3 o'clock, we've got Indiana, Alabama. We've got Georgia, Ole Miss at 7 o'clock. Really fun day. Obviously, Miami winners over Ohio State in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic last night. That was a fun game to watch. I was rooting on Miami for obvious reasons. It's good to see some teams you don't see in there as much. Obviously, Tulane and James Madison, those games kind of went like we thought they would. But, even Ole Miss, seeing them in there, Indiana, of course, Texas Tech. It's good to see some parity in college football, and that's what hopefully all this transfer portal stuff is going to bring. Yesterday was a withdrawal Wednesday, really. I mean, you had 6 guys hit the transfer portal from Arkansas. Andrew Harris was the first junior linebacker who joined Arkansas last year out of UCF. Kavion Henderson says he's going to hit the portal. It's time for him to get what he deserves. Redshirt sophomore defensive end. Grayson Wilson. That one was a bit of a surprise. Him being an Arkansas kid, Central Arkansas guy, always wanted to be a Razorback, was a very early commitment. Just a redshirt freshman, or going to be a redshirt freshman this year, but he's going to enter the portal. Wide receiver Andy Jean, who came on from Pittsburgh. He was at Florida before that, but Andy Jean hitting the transfer portal. Charlie Collins was a surprise. Charlie Collins seemed like a guy that was custom made for that jack position that Arkansas is going to have, that edge rusher, but he's going to enter the transfer portal also. And then Selman Bridges is another one. Selman Bridges entered the transfer portal briefly last year and then came out of it. And I only played in 4 games, I think, last year. So redshirt sophomore, he was able to redshirt last year. So 6 guys hitting the portal yesterday. So far, I haven't seen any today. Appreciate people respecting that we've got 1 day buffer. Might as well wait till tomorrow to enter the transfer portal. It's going to be interesting to see, do people just cavalierly commit to a school right out of the gate on January 2nd, or do they actually play along a little bit? Because all the tampering and stuff that's going on, legal tampering. I'm going to call it legal tampering. We call it legal tampering. I'm going to call it legal tampering because nobody really cares and everybody is doing it. And hopefully Arkansas is doing that as well. And we can see some transformation with this roster. Scholarship distribution. I have made some changes just in light of some things that we've kind of heard through the grapevine a little bit, that maybe SEC teams aren't going to go to 105. Like, even though that's the legal number that the president's voted for, maybe they're not going 105. Maybe they're going more like 90, something like that, give or take a little bit. So in that model, if SEC teams are kind of in agreement across the board and they're going around 90 scholarships instead of the 105, then that leaves room for walk-ons, I guess you could call it. So I think that makes actually a lot more sense. 105 is a ton of players. That kind of model also means you got to put backup kickers, backup punters, backup deep snappers on scholarship. And nothing against those guys, they don't deserve scholarships and stuff. But in this model where you have the transfer portal and it's so much roster turnover year over year, I mean, we're talking about 61 players currently on Arkansas's roster. It doesn't make as much sense to have that many players on scholarship. At least in my opinion, it doesn't. We'll see. So much unknown. Guys, we're all going to be finding this out as we go. We have a game plan at HawgSports. Me and Danny West and the whole team have a game plan. It's going to be all hands on deck, but we have a game plan to simplify things, to present things in a way that makes it clear and organized and structured, and also along the way tell you what's going to happen. We're not going to have everything that's going to happen, obviously, but we're going to have a ton of stuff that's going to give you some real insight into what's coming for Arkansas in terms of visitors, in terms of guys that they're legitimately targeting, not just like, well, this guy looks like he'd be interesting. This guy's intriguing. We're gonna go in depth for you and work our tails off. I've already put in notice with my family, like, hey, these next 2 weeks, it's going to be tough. I told our guys, like, hey, this isn't the time to go get an oil change or to do a midday grocery run. Like, this is time to work. This is roster building time. And Arkansas has to put together basically their entire, not just basically, but pretty much, aside from some walk-ons that can trickle in, their entire football roster in these 2 weeks. Okay, I have Arkansas at 61 players. I've made some changes since some of this stuff came to light with maybe not going to a full 105, okay? So before I had backup kickers from last year, guys that were listed as kickers, put them on scholarship because it's 105 cap, it's 105 scholarship, so these guys got to be on scholarship. But now that we know that, I'm able to, we're down to 2 guys. I don't know that the snapper that committed to Arkansas will be on scholarship. Maybe that's a deal where, hey, earn the job kind of situation. Whoever earns the starting job gets the scholarship. Maybe it's like that. I don't know. But I assume it's probably something like that. But now I just have 2 guys who are, kicker, punter on scholarship. I removed Monte Harrison because previously, if it's 105 and 105, he would need to be on scholarship or counted towards scholarship. But his baseball contract pays for his school, so able to remove him. Would have removed A.J. Green, although A.J. Green's hit the transfer portal. So that brings them all the way down to 61. So we're talking, there's going to be more guys that leave, but at minimum, you're talking 29 or more at minimum, and probably going to be more like 40 players, maybe more, maybe even more. Who knows what to expect? Not everybody has announced that they're staying. This is, and I need to clarify this. Out of the 61 guys that I've got right now, this is players who have either signed or committed to Arkansas, high school, junior college players who have signed and committed, guys who have said they're coming back, who have either said, on Instagram or X or some other type of announcement, who have said they're coming back, and guys who have not said anything at all. That includes people who have not said anything, and obviously omits those who have said, I'm entering the transfer portal, respect my decision. I hate when players, I don't like that. Like, I will respect your decision, sure, but I hate when they say respect it. You respect my opinion, or you respect my decision. Like, to me, that's intense and an order. I don't have to respect anything if I don't want to. Speaking of respect, remember when we would just get outraged when players hit the transfer portal because it was just the way it was structured? Like everybody, it was just a wave of players leaving. And then, the portal wouldn't technically open till later. And it was just, we had to wait. And it was just everybody, it was just news of this guy and this guy and this guy leaving. And we're just like, this is a disaster. Or I remember the year like Ole Miss's bowl game wrapped up and a bunch of guys hit the portal. This has been several years ago. And everybody at Arkansas was just like, look at that. What a dumpster fire. And then Arkansas played its bowl game. And then players started leaving. Everybody's like, "It's happening to us," So it's everybody's calmed down a lot now. With like losing Charlie Collins is like, oh man, that stinks. But like, well, maybe they'll go get another good one. Like what we know so far, also with Arkansas, we know that they've spent on this assistant coach salary pool $2 million more than they did last year. So that's definitely significant. That's one metric we can look at and say, okay, Arkansas does appear to have more money. They are putting more money into football. The next one we can look at is how this roster gets put together. I've broken down, if you can go to HawgSports, if you've got a membership there, you can read. I've broken down how I would spend a $25 million roster. I know that number sounds crazy, but that's what's happening all throughout college football now. It's not just Arkansas, but all through college football. Look at Texas Tech. They're spending. So, that's a great article, I think, to read. Like, I've kind of got focus on 75 priority players. We talked about it a little bit last week, so I don't want to go over it too much. But we can look at how this roster is putting together. We got an idea of what a top 15 quarterback generally is going to cost. Arkansas has one quarterback on the roster. They're going to bring in 4 guys. How do you manage that? You need to bring in at least 4 quarterbacks. You got to have a couple of guys that can run your scout team. You got to have a very promising backup, which I think KJ Jackson probably getting paid somewhere between backup and starter type money. I think you put clauses in these contracts like, hey, KJ, we're going to bring you on for this. We're planning on bringing in another really good quarterback. If you win the starting job, then, you get this much more. I think it's important to put that kind of stuff in there for second, third team guys. You win the starting job, hey, there's more money for you. Let's give some people more incentives. That's what I think. So, but you can read the scholarship distribution report. You can read the scholarship, the live tracker, all of that stuff at HawgSports, HawgSports.com. I'd love to tell you about our friends over at Blakeman's Fine Jewelry. If you've messed up and you didn't get the right Christmas gift, there's still time. You can go to Blakeman's. You can go to Blakeman's anytime. Proud to be the official jeweler of the Arkansas Razorbacks. And while I'd encourage you to visit them in person because, they got all their decor up. I don't know if they have their Christmas decor. If they're like us, we took our Christmas decor down on Christmas Day. We took our tree down. We took all of our decoration down because we had 2 more Christmases to go to in Little Rock and Maumelle. And then came back and, it's nice to come home and all that stuff's done. But anyway, I would encourage you to go check out their store because it's a brand new location, 3202 Pinnacle Hills Parkway, Rogers, Arkansas, 72758, the finest jewelry store in the state of Arkansas. But you can also shop online at their website, and they have delivery, or you can book an appointment online. Built on tradition since 1987, Blakeman's has been Northwest Arkansas's trusted destination for exceptional jewelry and personalized service. Visit them at their brand new location, like I said, or shop with them online. Arkansas's, the official jeweler of the Arkansas Razorbacks, where Arkansas gets engaged. Where do we go next? Okay, I want to talk about the Link U. So they announced this, what is today? Thursday? They announced this on Tuesday that the University of Arkansas was partnering with the Link U. So what is the Link U? How is this different than Blueprint? Blueprint was, at least from Arkansas's perspective, they're still in business, I guess, but was supposed to link businesses, fans, student athletes, and just really wasn't a fruitful relationship for Arkansas. It was a failed relationship. They had, first Arkansas started, but it's important to understand the whole backstory. You had one Arkansas, first of all, which, worked more through charitable type of stuff to get athletes paid. That charitable angle through NIL has kind of gone by the wayside. You don't see that anymore. they transitioned to Arkansas Edge, which was under Blueprint Sports. Arkansas Edge had this own like sub entity under Blueprint. They had employees and stuff like that. It failed. They had too much turnover at the top. Poor Alex Harper was like the only guy holding that thing together, and they kept changing directors. I had 3 different people doing that job. It just did not work out, bottom line. The Link U is different, and I've had some time to really review and look at what this is. I know that Blueprint took 15% for operating costs. Their business, they got to make money. I don't know exactly what the Link U is, but from what I'm told, they have a better deal. It's a better deal than what they have with Blueprint. All that stuff came out with Oregon State and their deal with Blueprint. Everybody's like, holy crap, Oregon State's getting screwed. So I looked into it, found out Arkansas had a much better deal with Blueprint, and apparently they have a much better deal also with the Link U. So the Link U, it doesn't have this subcategory like Arkansas Edge. It's just a platform. So they have people working on everybody. I saw Alabama on there. I've seen there's been several schools. Houston, I think, was the original. Houston was the original. I used a lot of what I saw, ability to access. Let me get into it. Let me explain what I like about it is the simplicity of it. So you can go to the Link U. I'm going to go there right now just so I can kind of guide you through it. So this is on mobile. There's like 3 bars at the top right. On desktop, it's going to be like a list of things. So you can go to schools. You hover over schools or click on schools. You scroll down to University of Arkansas. It's under the U, not the A. So alphabetical under the U, University of Alabama, University of Arkansas, University of Houston. Click on University of Arkansas right there. University of Arkansas, there's a link to click for donate and one for events. There are no events yet. But you can also just scroll down and it takes you, you can click donate and scroll down. And here you have different categories of options to sign up for. So you can sign up, you can select a one-time donation, and you can set it to donate to any sport that you want. Any sport that you want. Select one-time donation, or there are several different options for monthly donations that will be regularly, withdrawn from your account. There's a $10 a month, $35, $100, $500, and $1,000. They each come with different perks, I guess you could say. Bobby Bones made a tweet the other day. He's like, man, I'd like to see some of these perks boosted a little bit, some better stuff. But for example, like they have an NIL shop where you can buy merchandise. The merchandise that you purchase goes towards, the NIL stuff, the NIL opportunities. You have businesses that are involved in this also. And this is all kind of like put together, like you'd have businesses that are members, and this is put together to, funnel those athletes into being able to do stuff for those businesses, basically is how it works. Say you do the $10 a month deal, that gives you access to their membership program, whatever that is, and a 10% discount in their NIL shop. So you want to go buy a hat for $35, a percentage of that is going towards NIL. They'll also have player jerseys and stuff like that you can purchase as well. Now, so that's one way to do it. Just go on there and donate. So this is the way that people have been asking, is it overdue? Without a doubt. But it's here now. And I'm trying to look at things from a positive, moving forward direction. That's kind of the New Year's resolution. Stop dragging around the skepticism and negativity that's been impossible not to have with you, and try to look forward a little bit to this new era, the Ryan Silverfield age. So they do have it now. So you can go on there and sign up and pick your plan and donate, or you can do a one-time donation. The other thing on it, you can go to the Link U. There'll be, this will be the same on desktop and mobile. In the middle, there's a little circle link that you can click. It's for fans. And you click that and you go to the athlete shop. Okay, here you can search for your favorite individual athlete, whoever you want to do something with. So say I'm going to pick Cottrell Webb from Houston. Okay, so Arkansas players aren't yet integrated into this, but they will be shortly. I can do an autograph. I can select to do an autograph. $55, he'll sign a sports-specific item. $40, he'll sign a university T-shirt. $35, I'll get a photograph. I can include additional information I would like regarding my request. This is the most popular thing they say. It's a shout-out. I've seen this range anywhere from $20 to $300 for different athletes, but it's a video shout-out. So, like, say I want I want Cottrell to roast Danny West. I want him to just talk all kinds of trash about Danny West. He'll put together a video. I'll give him some talking points. There's instructions I can give him here, the name, all this kind of stuff. I can ask for advice. So, it's kind of like Cameo, like with celebrities, birthday, holiday, pep talk, all that kind of stuff that you want to do. So there's that option too. They'll make a post too. I'm not sure what all this means, but this is like, you got to make kind of bid on it, and you can do a meet. So like this, again, you bid on this, you say what you request. So maybe I want to have Cottrell come to my daughter's birthday party, and I'm like, okay, maybe $500 for him to come. I live in Houston. It's not that far a drive for him. I can put a bid in. They're going to get back to me. We will respond to your request in 24 business hours, what it says there. So there's ways to go directly towards athletes here too. So I found the setup of this to be clean and organized, and I was pleased with it. Now, I agree with Bobby Bones, like, let's get some more, let's get some more perks and stuff for people. But I think also people that are going to give $500 or $1,000 monthly on this probably aren't really that concerned with the perks. They just want to give the money. So anyway, that's the Link U. That's Arkansas's new partnership for NIL, and I like the way it's set up, actually. So you can read more about it in HawgSports. I break it down, how to do all that stuff. But basically, all I do when I find something new is I hit all the buttons. What's this button do? And that's how I figure it out. So, all right, let's go to Danny West now. Danny, it's obviously a very important time for him. Danny's going to join us on the Ozarks Go hotline. And got to put that up. I'm going to put that up. Danny West, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. What was Cottrell saying?
Yeah, that's right. He was talking all kinds of stuff about chocolate gravy and orange vest, Danny. Somebody asked the other day in a chat we were doing on the Razor's Edge, they were like, what's the difference? That background looks nice, Danny. He goes, Trey, when's the last time you had chocolate gravy? And I was like, I don't think I've ever had it, but, and I said, I'm more sweet tea and Sunday fried chicken Southern. Danny West is more orange vest and chocolate gravy Southern.
Dude, that's a perfect way of putting that.
Yeah.
I've never thought of it like that. But
somebody responded and said that's the nicest way I've ever heard anybody called a redneck.
Yeah, you had another analogy yesterday. I forget what it was on the board, but it was one of your better ones.
Yeah, well, I'm just full of them, Danny.
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes I'm full of it.
I'm sorry, my camera's moving. I've got a different setup, Trey. We're halfway through kind of a remodel here in the Dan Cave, so bear with me. We'll get the wrinkles out of my fake wall back here eventually.
Did you ever hear? I know you call it the Dan Cave. I love that. Did you ever hear what Bill Burr said about man caves?
No, let's get into what Bill Burr said.
He was like, when I was a kid, there were no man caves and stuff. He goes, my dad had a house. We watched what he wanted to watch on TV.
True. There's a lot of Bluey on my TVs.
Oh, yeah.
I got Texas Tech and Oregon going right now.
I got them too. 6, I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but it's 133 left in the half, so spoiler. Yeah. 6-0 Oregon right now. Danny, I was making the point earlier, and I was talking with somebody at the university, and they were just like, it's crazy to think last year, I was like, Isaac Tesla was doing handstands, against Texas Tech, just clowning on these guys. Now they're in the college football playoff. A lot can change in a year.
How about Isaac, man? You look up, he's second in the league right now in touchdowns by a rookie, touchdown receptions by a rookie. And I think that's important to kind of lead off with as we get into this portal. That's what everybody's watching for, Biddy. But
yeah,
just kind of a good reminder, ain't it, that these guys can come from anywhere. Now, they can come from anywhere and suck too. We've seen plenty of that. But, hey, good players are found anywhere. But like I said this morning, it's the great players that you're really looking for. You got to move the needle. Now, we're going to see and talk about a lot of these dudes over the next few weeks, Trey, that don't move the needle per se for a lot of people. And that's to be expected. A lot of these first initial visitors on our list may not. I know Carius Kern would and certainly should, but some of these other guys, you got some JUCO guys coming in this weekend. Let's start with that and get organized here, Dan. But
let's go.
Antonio Sandal Bascom. Antonio Sandal Bascom was a defensive tackle commitment this past weekend, 6'3", 305 out of Coffeyville, Kansas Community College. He's originally from Akron, Ohio, Trey Biddy. He's got, he was committed to Memphis. You know, they picked him up late in November, only had him for a few weeks committed before Silverfield and his crew got out of there, of course, for Arkansas. And you know, they took a few weeks to kind of organize everything on Arkansas's end, but ultimately circled right back to him. And you know, that's they need a guy like that too. He's not the top ranked guy in the portal, and that's what everybody wants. But you know what? They're going to need the 4th, 5th, 6th guy too. And
Right.
I'm not trying to put a cap on this dude. He could be your 2nd or 3rd guy.
Well, hell, Danny, I mean, we're talking about 61 guys on Arkansas's roster right now.
Yeah, they need
somebody's got to back up. Somebody's got to be a reserve. Like,
yeah,
you're going to have to bring in guys like that.
That's right. And you know what? There's some JUCO help out there. I'll mention another one, Tavari. Yeah, Tavari Hampton. Just talked to Tavari this morning. He's out of NEO, Northeastern Oklahoma A&M. He was a JUCO All-American safety this past year, 6 foot 185. Let me bring up his stats, Biddy. I just had him up here, but impressive stat line this year. 6 foot 185. Top JUCO safety, first team all conference safety, 115 total tackles, 4 picks, and 2 forced fumbles. That goes with 9 pass breakups and 19 tackles for loss. I don't know where he was coming from or how he picked up 19 of them, but quite a stat for a safety there. So, you know, he was a sophomore this past year and got a couple of years left. He did tell me this morning that the connection is CJ. Wilford, the new assistant coach. And I don't know if he's on field. I'm gonna let you deal with all that, Biddy. I still gotta worry about recruits first.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, there's such a blurred line though with analyst and on-field coaches, but technically an analyst, but also technically the safeties coach.
Sure. Yeah, but Tavari told me, you know, the connection is with CJ, and he told me, hey, if it goes well, could be a quick turnaround for him too. So. You like that, you know, you want these lightly recruited JUCO guys to come in and fall in love with it and not mess around and wait for so-and-so to come in with a new offer, this and that. So could start off with a couple of JUCO additions then. And then tomorrow, buddy, it's going to get crazy. And I have no idea what to expect, but I would lean toward expecting early next week is when we're probably going to see the majority, maybe even this weekend. We'll start picking up bigger names, names that really maybe excite people a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Probably get into those after the first few days, I would imagine. And then next week, you know, I'll be down there several days in a row, just hanging out and seeing who's coming and going. But yeah, quiet before the storm, but man, the wind's picking up.
Right now, I'm looking at the recruiting period. February 4th, by the way, is the traditional National Signing Day, if that's what we're calling it, late signing day, whatever. But that's the first Wednesday in February. But right now, as of today, we entered a quiet period for recruiting. So that, as we know, quiet period means on-campus visitation, no off-campus visitation. January 5th to the 31st is the contact period. Quiet period again on January 11th during that contact period. January 12th to the 14th is a dead period. So those are the dates, 11th, 12th, 14th, aside from the 5th to the 31st during that contact period. Quiet period, February 1st. Dead period, February 2nd through March 1st. Danny, is there any more obviously we talked about some junior college players, but is there any more options out there as far as high school guys that they might be in on?
High school guys, not lately. I think that's winding
They all
down.
sign early now. I mean,
yeah, they all sign early, and there just ain't much left. I know a lot of people are curious about Kane. You know, with the situation at Utah, I hate it, man. I hate it for Kane Archer, and you know, we'll see what happens there. But I'm not overlooking the fact that Arkansas needs at least 3, probably 4 quarterbacks. So,
yeah.
And not everybody's going to be a starter or projected, you know, competition for starter.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's got to be the young, maybe he sticks around, maybe he doesn't type. So if
I look at it like
those, I don't hate the idea, buddy.
I'm thinking about quarterback, you know, and obviously you got KJ Jackson. I want to see them bring in a guy that's like projected to start, that KJ has to compete against. And it's, again, nothing against KJ. 6'4", well put together, athletic, strong arm. he's been the time we've seen him, he's done some good things. It's just not enough stuff. KJ, I always say, kind of has that look like he's got a joke, that you hadn't heard yet. Like, listen to this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that in a quarterback. I like, some personality and some fun with a quarterback. But I want to see a guy that comes in that, everybody's like, man, that's a nice addition. All these guys, all these teams that we're watching today, all have great quarterbacks. But after that, and then you've got KJ, is the next guy another kind of young up and comer guy, is that who he is? And then, maybe two other guys, maybe you've got a guy with a lot of potential that's just very raw or something that you want to take a chance on. Maybe the other guy is a veteran who doesn't have a world of talent, but knows exactly where to go with the football. You've got to have players that can lead your scout team. I'd like to have a really good passer that can work on the scout team. I'd like to have a guy that's mobile, that can work the scout team. But people forget that kind of stuff. You have got to get players that can give you a good look every day in practice.
Yeah. Yeah, they've kind of got a mixed bag too. You look at our initial list here of kind of quarterbacks to watch and start tracking, get to know types. Josh Hoover, everybody's probably going to want. Jalen Rayner, though, from across the state, ASU. What's wrong with him? What's wrong with going that route, in my opinion? When you need 3 or 4, I kind of like him quite a bit. Colton Joseph is one we've talked about at ODU. Caton Hauser. By the way, ECU kid. By the way, Trey, I heard you mention what shout-outs cost a minute ago, but I'm going to give a free one here. How about John Hauser? You remember Chris Hauser?
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
Yeah, so his brother now has the Ohio job and just won the bowl game with them this week. So shout out to Coach Hauser, really good people there. But
for those of you who don't know or remember Chris Hauser,
too.
he was the recruiting coordinator at Arkansas first year under Brett Bielema, and we've kind of kept up with him over the years. Good guy. Last I heard of Hauser, he was in Lexington. I had drinks with him 2019 when Arkansas played in Lexington. I don't know if he's still down there though.
I tell him all the time he needs to come on back and get into it, man, because he was he was one of the best we've dealt with. Still is. But anyway, wanted to throw that in there for his brother. That's a big time deal. But yeah, Caton Hauser, ECU kid. AJ Hill over at Memphis, could follow. Michael Hawkins, kid we're familiar with. He messed around with Arkansas a little bit as a recruit from Oklahoma. So, and then there's some portal pipe dreams, I kind of called them. Excuse me.
Get some pipe dreams, though, Danny. Like, if the money is there, they should be able to get a couple pipe dreams here and there. Yeah. And I'm real interested to see what Geiska does, Crowley, and, the personnel department, advanced scouting department, all those guys. I heard really good things about a lot of them. So,
yeah, Geiska especially, just starting to learn more about him. Man, I'm a fan of organization and new ideas for this place. Mm-hmm. Aren't you? Like, you kind of think they've tried it all, but they really haven't. We haven't tried it all. Mm-hmm. You gotta. I don't know. I kind of like the approach that it doesn't feel like they're going to be the quiet, humble, blue-collar lunch pail.
Right.
You got to be out there a little bit, for recruiting. Nowadays, you got to let everybody know that you got the money and it's the cool place to be, That's one of the smartest things, knock on wood, that this doesn't go wrong. But Chad Morris, he used to say it all the time, we got to make Arkansas cool. It's got to be the cool place to go. It's one of the few things you got right.
Yeah,
but he was on to something there, Biddy.
Well, he hired recruiters. Like we can say a lot of stuff about Chad Morris. What we cannot criticize is the recruiting. I can remember, like there were meetings. First of all, like under Bielema, he had just a kind of a different way of doing things, obviously, as every coach does. But their meetings on just discussing recruiting went from once a week to every day. Mm-hmm. They prioritized recruiting. The problem is they forgot their team. He forgot about the guys that were on the team right now. And there was some angst. There was so much division with that locker room. New guys, old guys, offense, defense, this coach, that coach. Just about any way you could split the team up, they found a way to do it for some reason. But recruiting, No question. That 2019 recruiting class is one of the best that's ever come through here.
I would agree, but don't know how I got off on that. But
we go off on tangents all the time, Danny.
Yeah, I know, man. I got ADD so bad, dude. It flares up like nonstop.
It flares up.
It'll get me at the worst time. Yeah, I had to throw Chad Morris in there, but I do like the fresh ideas, trying to make it a little louder, I guess. You got to be out there a little bit. And I'm a fan of this Geiska guy already. Just had very brief interactions with him here and there, but really like him so far. So that's a positive, man. They need that guy to work out as well as anybody that he's bringing with him from over there, because literally everybody you talk to that knows him or has experienced anything he's had going on so far, they're like, I don't know what he's up to, but he's figuring it out. I'm not going to say he's got it figured out. We'll see, but he's intriguing to me. I like where that's headed.
Danny, you got a New Year's resolution. We'll get you out of here with that. By the way, Arizona went 9-3 this past season, but your New Year's resolution certainly isn't to lose weight. I mean, you need to put on some pounds.
I went a little hard in the paint in 25.
You got to eat something that'll stick to your ribs a little more.
You know what? I did. I cut out beer the last couple of years and bought a bigger house, running up and down steps. But I think the biggest thing is I really tried to watch my intake after like 11 o'clock at night. I used to pig out on junk food. So maybe I'll bring that back. We'll see.
Bring back a little junk food.
Maybe have a beer here in a minute. We'll see. But I got to put on about 10, 15 because I'm freezing to death.
Get on that creatine, son. All right, Danny. Hey, everybody, Danny West is the man. Like, this dude's not going to sleep for 2 weeks, and I know it, and he's going to be cranky after 10 days. I'm going to have to deal with him.
I got a cot over here on the floor. You've seen it.
I've seen it. Danny has a cot.
I want to clarify. He has not seen it in person. He has not seen my cot in person. but I have sent him a picture of it.
He sent me a picture of it. Yeah, that's right.
You done? I'm missing calls here.
All right, brother. All right. Everybody, Danny West. Again, you can follow him at Danny West. But if you want the real inside scoop, go to HawgSports, HawgSports.com. One of the reasons we are one of the largest sites in the 24/7 Sports Network is because of people like Danny West. And our man Connor Goodson coming up here. First, I want to tell you about our friends over at Walker Brothers, which brings you the finest men's clothing from around the world, carefully selected to last, fit right, and help you look your best. From game day essentials to distinguished luxury wear, from a meticulously fitted suit to the perfectly faded pair of jeans, every piece in their collection is hand-selected for enduring quality and iconic style. Experience that undeniable confidence that comes with perfecting your personal style. Visit them at 577 Millsap Road, Suite number 6 in Fayetteville, or their brand new location, 3503 South 55th Street, Suite 101 in Rogers. Walker Brothers, never get a second chance to make a first impression. I always say this. I say this because this is what my wife said to me one time. She's like, I turned like 40. And she's like, don't you think it's time you start, kind of dressing more like a grown up, like an adult, like get you some more button down shirts and start thinking about that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what's wrong with this? She's like, honey, let me go get you hooked up with Thomas Cole over at Walker Brothers. Good people over there. Big Razorback fans also. All right. Connor Goodson time. We got basketball coming up. Connor, basketball, SEC play. I mean, sure, overshadowed a little bit by the football fans and their intrigue with the transfer portal, and you'll be helping us out with all that information as well. But it's time for SEC play. And Arkansas with a big win over James Madison, and you had it. I thought Arkansas might come off the little layover and not put them away like they did, but it was a significant win. The overhit and they covered, and you had both of those, and I did not.
Yeah, I was a little shocked at that hit as well, especially after that first 4-minute stretch where both teams just were struggling. They looked rusty. Arkansas was, they were able to get, I think, a 3, but James Madison looked, I think the two teams were combined for like 2 of their first 14 threes. So it looked a little slow going out of the gates, and they definitely had some Christmas rust to knock off, but Arkansas really put it on them, pulled away. I don't really even think the cover was in danger after that last little run. Shout out to Aiden Kelly hitting that step back three there at the end to really solidify it and make it, make sure the cover hit for Arkansas. So that's good. Really good win. Saw some good things in that, obviously. But Tennessee's going to be a whole different beast. This is a huge game for Arkansas. You've got to really get this game and really, it would be huge for your resume and all that. But just from a confidence boost, after this, you go on the road to Ole Miss and Auburn, 2 games, 2 places that have been tough for Arkansas to play historically. So if you get this game Saturday, pick up a big win against a team that's really good, it's going to help your metrics, going to help your confidence going in to this next stretch in SEC play.
So this game is ESPN2. It's at 2:00 in Bud Walton Arena. Should be rocking.
Stripe out as well.
Pack the Palace with a stripe out. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you mentioned, you've got a few days, 4 days, and you got a game at Oxford. That's Wednesday, January 7th. And then you've got a game at Auburn. That Wednesday game is 8:00, so it's the late game. And then the Auburn game is at 5:00 on a Saturday. That'll be fun. And then you're back at Bud Walton Arena against South Carolina on January 14th. What do we know about these Vols?
Yeah, so this Volunteer team, obviously, when you think of Rick Barnes' teams, you think physical. They're going to be tough. This roster, he has really designed to be more inside out than I think years past, where they really kind of relied on the 3-point shot and kind of molded their roster around getting guys who can really shoot the ball at a high volume. They can still do that. Jacoby Gillespie is no slouch. He's a really talented point guard. He's the guy that I had on some portal boards for Arkansas to potentially target way back when. He's a really talented guard. I mean, he's a leading scorer, averaging 17 points on, I think, is 43% from the field, 35% from 3-point range. Really good, talented guard. He's going to give Arkansas some fits, especially if he gets going. Nate Amint's another guy who is their second leading scorer, a freshman. Arkansas was involved in his recruitment that kind of drug out towards the end of spring last year. He's really talented. He's struggled with some physical matchups. He's kind of up and down here and there, but in their big games, he's done enough to help them kind of win. And when he doesn't play very well, they tend to lose. So if Arkansas can really get Nate Ament, slow him down and, get him a little uncomfortable with some of the physicality and stuff, I think that they should be able to have some success. But this game is going to be decided on the boards for sure. Tennessee is the best rebounding team in the country, and I can go in a little bit more on that if you like me to. But
let's talk about this first. First of all, Nate Ament, projected by a lot, top 5, top 6 NBA draft pick. So, and we remember him, of course, through the recruitment. Taller, slender guy, huge upside with him. There's a lot of common opponents when you look at the schedule that Tennessee has played. They played Duke. They lost 76-83. That was in Knoxville. They played Houston and beat Houston. And we obviously got a good look at Houston recently. This was in Las Vegas. That was a 76-73 Tennessee win. So just gives you a little bit of an idea. I mean, we saw that Houston team. They're good. Kansas, they lost to Kansas. Again, a close game, 81-76. That was also in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. And Syracuse is another notable one. They lost that one 62-60, but obviously there's so far I've just mentioned 2 teams that Arkansas has played. They also played Illinois, lost that one pretty convincingly, 75-62, which Arkansas played Illinois last year. But Louisville is another one. They won convincingly 83-62 over Louisville. That's the last common opponent.
Yeah, and Louisville was without their star freshman guard, Michael Brown Jr., for that game. And they kind of went on a run there at the end, but then Tennessee held them off and made that game look a little bit further out than it was. Louisville gave them some problems at different points. But yeah, when you look at these common opponents, the Houston win really sticks out to me because as we saw with Arkansas, they just weren't able to match the physicality, the just aggression that Houston was able to bring on the defensive end. Tennessee was able to kind of match that and neutralize that. So, Houston was throwing all these different looks at them and they weren't getting flustered. They weren't turning the ball over. They were sticking to their guns and they're really sound whenever they're kind of in their groove. They're not really going to push the pace. I think they're like 240th in tempo this year. So when they're in their offense, they're kind of going at their own pace and they're not turning the ball over. They're really, really good. And a big key to this Tennessee team that really helped them, especially against Houston, is the offensive glass. They are the best offensive rebounding team, according to KenPom, in the country. Offensive rebounding rate ranks tops. They're 5th in the country in offensive rebounds, 8th overall in rebounding total. Jaden Carey for them is their big offensive rebounder. He ranks 3rd individually out of every player in the NCAA in offensive rebounding rate. He's a monster on the glass, 267-pound forward. So Arkansas is going to have to find a way to keep him off the glass, close out defensive possessions, and limit their second chance opportunities, and you should be able to win.
I also like that they've got a quicker turnaround than Arkansas. They play on Tuesday, and they play Texas, Rick Barnes's former team. All right, Connor, it's time for the Wager Wagon, Bet Saracen Wager Wagon. I've got this. This is important to note because I've had this promo code where you can use Biddy, Biddy 125, and get $125 back on your first $25 bet. But now it's Biddy 250.
Oh,
it's Biddy 250 because you get $250 back to bet on Bet Saracen with your first $25 bet. That's a big one. That's $250 back to bet on a $25 bet on Bet Saracen. Use BIDDY 250. There's also a link below if you're on YouTube that you can click. So that's a big one. That's a big one. So we've got Arkansas is favored by 1.5 in this one. So Arkansas minus 1.5. The over-under is 157.5.
Yeah, I do see this being a really close game, and I think it's going to come down to who makes a play here or there down the stretch. When it gets under a minute, which team is able to execute a little bit better? Which team's in foul trouble? Or do you have your key guys in there? Are you able to, is Trevor Brazile, is he a guy that can stay out of foul trouble and play? In all these big games, it seems like something takes him out. So that factors in. It's going to be a close game. I feel like you hope that you get that Bud Walton advantage that gives them a couple points here.
Going to be rocking
there. And so with that, I think Arkansas, I'm going to say Arkansas covers. I do also like the over. I kind of like the over. I think that this is Tennessee's really good defensively, but I do think, with Arkansas, they're going to be able to make shots. And I think that Tennessee's just going to have to play a little bit of catch up. And so I do like Arkansas to cover and win. I also like them to it be more of a shootout than a defensive, juggernaut matchup.
Yeah. Well, Connor, we're going to agree for the first time on both counts. I like Arkansas. And if I like Arkansas, I feel like I also like the over.
Yeah.
If I like Tennessee, then I like the under. Yep. So I'm going Arkansas and the over with you. First time that we have actually agreed.
Arkansas's Fab Five for Bet Saracen.
Dude, you ever bet on bowling?
Only if I'm in the tournament.
So you bet on the other team, right?
Hey, this aggression will not stand, man.
Who's got a lock for Sunday? I need to bring home the bacon.
Not sure about you, but I take comfort knowing those dudes make their plays on Bet Saracen.
Arkansas's favorite sports betting app.
Who is that guy?
I don't know about you, but I take comfort in knowing Connor Goodson's got us covered for basketball. Connor, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, Trey.
All right, everybody, that's Connor Goodson. Follow him at Connor Goodson on X, HawgSports, basketball, recruiting, coverage, team coverage, the works. All right. Question times, I think. Right. We did a big chat the other day on HawgSports where I was basically like, ask me anything, whatever you want. And I got asked everything. Some normal stuff, some vulgar stuff, some personal stuff, but I got asked everything. So it'll be interesting to see what we've got here with these questions. Hogboy 1987 says, when's the next time we'll hear from Ryan Silverfield or Hunter Yurachek? Seems like there should be a presser announcing the new NIL venture. They put out a release, but there's a chance, I think, that we could hear from Silverfield on signing day, maybe sooner than that after all this portal stuff goes away. Like in the past, we've always done signing day press conferences. Now, last year, I don't think we did a signing day press conference because there was no signing periods. One of the things that Sam Pittman did that I like Sam, okay? So I don't want anybody to take like any of this negative, but like, there were things that Sam did that could have been done better. Like I feel like I'm going to do kind of the minimum stuff when it comes to media and getting out there. And I just remember Houston Nutt, back when people went to Razorback clubs more often and stuff, it's just like, I'm going to go to every Razorback club I can get to. We had interviews with Houston Nutt after every single practice. Like it was just a little different. And I'm not saying Silverfield should do that, but I don't think that you should go months without talking to the head coach at Arkansas. Okay. So hopefully there will be some talk about all this stuff going on with the roster. And maybe it's an opportunity I could get with him to talk one-on-one. I'd be fine with having him at the podium, whatever. Hunter Yurachek, we're not going to talk to him again until there's a new coach hired in some category. I mean, aside from like some speaking engagements and stuff, Little Rock touchdown stuff, Hunter doesn't ever really meet with the media. It just doesn't. But as far as a presser announcing the NIL bench, I think I did the best I could with that. Like, there's obviously the press release that goes out, but I wanted to put an article out that's like, okay, this is how it works. This is how you do it. And you can read that at HawgSports. I talked about it on the show, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it feels like there would be something, but, Hunter just hasn't been very, been one to get up in front of the media very often. Burkus Maximus says, Happy New Year, Trey. Happy New Year to you. We need numbers at quarterback, maybe throw an offer to Kane Archer and get him on board. What do you think happens with him? I don't know. I mean, with a coaching change like that, then, there's obviously stuff that could happen. But, basically, hell, guys, every single one of these guys that have signed with Arkansas just get right out of their signed deal. I mean, they all could. So I don't know if I see anything happening there. I just know that they need quarterbacks, bottom line. Thor Hog says, hey, Trey, and we talked a good bit about, the different kind of quarterbacks, maybe you look at. Thor Hog says, hey, Trey, from what you've heard, how many of the players has Arkansas lost to the portal so far did Arkansas absolutely not want to lose? I could look at that real quick for you. I mean, and who knows? Like there are some instances like last year, they lost Addison Nichols and Josh Braun, two guys that started for them on the offensive line. You may look at that and say, well, those are two guys maybe they didn't want to lose. Or you could look at it and say, for the salary that those guys were getting, they could get better players, and they ended up doing that. Okay, let's look. Let's look at the live tracker. I'll just kind of go down chronologically and say what I think. Selman Bridges, maybe not. Never played here. Was very highly regarded. Charlie Collins, I wouldn't say Collins at this point lived up to his billing as a top 100 player. A guy that, you look at and say, maybe that guy's got a future. Andy Jean, I'm not really worried about it. Grayson Wilson, I think possibly could have had a future, but I mean, I think the writing's on the wall for him that, KJ's ahead of him and just a year older. Kavion Henderson wasn't playing. Andrew Harris wasn't playing. Justice Boone might be a guy that you look at. In fact, I didn't even have Justice Boone on our scholarship distribution initially because didn't recognize that, he didn't even play his sophomore year after redshirting. So he's going to have to apply for a medical redshirt, but can still get it. J.J. Shelton, Justice Boone, I would say kind of maybe. I would say J.J. Shelton kind of very possibly. Shelton's a freshman who played for him early. I think he's probably a guy with upside. Justin Logan never played here. Scott Starsick has said he's coming back. I've also got those notes in here. Trevor Jackson, whatever, good luck to you, but whatever. Blake Cherry, I feel like there was some mixed opinions on him. Some guys liked him, some guys didn't. I know that they were everybody was pretty much sold on Cash Courtney and Lionel Prudhomme, but Cherry was kind of like maybe not kind of situation. Miguel Mitchell, good luck to you, whatever. Caleb James, we're talking about a redshirt junior who never really played. AJ Green, AJ had that Achilles injury and just some guys just don't come back from that. And I don't know that AJ did. Ian Gerfard is one I would point to and say, probably would have liked to have kept Ian Gerfard, especially because it's just so hard to go out and get quality defensive linemen. But maybe they had another opinion. Here's Andy Jean again, where it's, he reported that he would return, and now he says he's gone. Cash Courtney saying he will return. Monte Harrison telling Drive Time he'll return. This is all in chronological order. Trevor Jackson indicated that he would return. Now he's since said he's gone. Gavin Garrettson says he's returning. C.J. Brown says he's all in. Kevin Otis says we're working. Braylon Russell says he's returning. Kobe Brandon ready for the grind, all in. Caden Kittler, I'm a MF Razorback, all in. Tavion Wallace. Tavion Wallace is a guy that I think has a future. So that one maybe stings a little bit. Shaq McCroy, Shaq just never really got the playbook totally down. That held him back a little bit. But he's another guy that's very intriguing because of his size. I've said before, the biggest Razorback that I think I've ever covered when you're talking about height and, just overall size. Keandre Jackson coming back. Jalen Brown. I like Jalen Brown. Maddox Lassiter coming back. KG Jackson. Quincy Rose coming back. Keyshawn Davila is leaving. So not a lot off this list. A few guys. An Ian Gerard. Maybe a Blake Cherry, a J.J. Shelton, a Justice Boone. What Arkansas needs to do, though, it's great to go out and get some veteran players, look at the teams man, it's a big team. Got a lot of veterans, a lot of seniors, and we've done that. We've done that a lot. And it's I don't want to say it's fool's gold, but it plays with your head a little bit because you're used to seeing how a team's made up over the years in the 23, almost 24 years that I've been doing this, seeing these teams the last few years that are built through the transfer portal, and you look at it and say, man, it's a big, mature team. They're not relying on young players. They just got depth everywhere. And again, you have to remember that every other team out there has access to the portal, and they're bringing in players just like Arkansas is, and better players. The thing that Arkansas has to do better at is not just getting guys that, and it's great, yeah, veteran player, knows what to do, all that stuff. You have to get some game breakers, and Arkansas has lacked in that area. Now, they went out and got a monster running back last year. I think I don't want to say they got lucky, but, because they evaluated him. But they got lucky in a little way that Mike Washington was as good as he turned out to be. But he was a game breaker at running back. Really, really good running back. I'd take Mike Washington back right now. You can tell me, Arkansas's got to get a running back. You could have, the Pool or Mike Washington. I'm good with Mike. Give me Mike Washington. I feel good about that. But you got to get some guys like that. Wide receiver, it would be nice to see. And, Omega was a good player, but I'm talking about a game breaker. Somebody that strikes fear in the other team, a left tackle that just you can't get past. Those types of players. The best Arkansas teams have not just been super balanced with everybody. They've had holes. You go back and look at that 2015 team. If I were to name off the guys that went to the NFL, let's see if I can find that roster. You guys are you'll be like, damn. Come on, let me get that roster. Let me get it nice and clean without it being omitted and all kinds of stuff. Is this a full roster? This might be. Okay, 2015 Arkansas football roster. Look at this. Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen's still in the NFL. The late Alex Collins, multiple years in the NFL. Raleigh Williams probably would have gone to the NFL if not for the neck injury. Jonathan Williams went to the NFL, running back. Drew Morgan was on that team. Dominic Reed was on that team. Keon Hatcher was on that team. None of those guys made it to the NFL. Keon might have made, I don't know if he made it actual roster ever. Here's one, Cody Hollister. Seldom used Cody Hollister, played for a number of years in the NFL on that team. Jeremy Sprinkle, Big Sprink, played in the NFL. Hunter Henry played in the NFL. Frank Ragnow was a sophomore on that team. Dan Skipper plays, both those guys. Frank Ragnow recently retired and tried to come back and didn't pass the medical. Dan Skipper plays for the Lions also, plays for him right now. Denver Kirkland made it to the NFL. Wasn't drafted, but made the NFL. Sebastian Tretola. I saw him recently at a Razorback game. Sebastian Tretola His hair is down past his crotch. His hair is long now. Brian Wallace. Rip Brian Wallace. Sad deal there. Yeah, but Sebastian Tretola. I mean, guys, Yelda Froholt was on that team. He was a freshman on that team. Jeremiah Ledbetter played in the NFL off that team. Armand Watts played in the NFL off that team. Dietrich Wise played in the NFL off that team. I mean, you guys see what I'm saying here? Dre Greenlaw was a freshman linebacker on that team. Dude, I mean, like, this team was stacked with NFL talent. Ryan Pulley, I don't know if Ryan Pulley ever made a roster, but he declared early for the NFL draft. Andre Tolliver, he was a good player. I don't think he ever made the NFL roster. So, you see what I'm saying? Like, that team was stacked. But what you don't see is, you know, Dre Greenlaw was a true freshman linebacker. Dre, as good as he is, he kind of sucked back then. Like, I remember that Auburn game that went to overtime. They just ran at Dre Greenlaw the whole game. Go back and watch that game. They just ran right at him that whole overtime. And when Arkansas finally got a stop on them, they switched Dre Greenlaw right before the snap. They switched him over, and they got a stop on him. Go back and watch that game if you don't believe me. But they relied on freshmen. So they had holes all over the place, but they also had a ton of NFL players. You know what I mean? So we look at the rosters now and like, man, these guys are deep. You know, they're not relying on young players. They're veterans. They've been in a college weight room a number of years. But what Arkansas has been missing is straight up studs like a lot of these guys on that 2015 roster were. Clip that. If I say clip that, then AI will make a little clip of that and I can put it into a short. All right, here we go with Whiskey Drunk. T-Fat. Yes, I need to lose. Like, I put on a little weight every football season from just ignoring the weight room, eating what's in front of me, grinding it out, and maybe I forgot to take care of that weight last year and I've doubled up a little bit. Thank you for noticing, Whiskey. Have you had a chance to review the signing classes of previous staff just to see how terrible they were at evaluating talent? I have. I haven't looked at it in a while, but it's blatantly bad. It wasn't just a lack of money, in my opinion. It seems the entire department failed in every level. How do you see things changing with the new scouting department hires? Hopefully the opposite. I mean, I think it's obvious that Arkansas did not have a very good scouting department, and it wasn't just the recruiting class, but you can go back and look and like, man, this class, like, where are the players? Like, guys that you would look at, like, your team and you'd be like, they should be having, you know, redshirt juniors and seniors lead this roster, and there's nobody left from those recruiting classes because they did a terrible job evaluating talent. Like, you should, like, one of the things that Houston Nutt always did is he could see the future with a player. Like, yeah, they missed on guys. Obviously, everybody misses on players. But if you can get half of your recruiting class right, you've done a pretty good job. The problem with Pittman's recruiting classes is they didn't hit on half of them. They didn't hit on a third of them. They were hitting on a fraction, a 16th, you know, a 10th of the recruiting class. Like, that's what they were getting. And it wasn't guys that were just like exceptional. So yeah, they did a really bad job evaluating guys. And a lot of that is they looked at, I think, a roster, they look at players and like they didn't see what they could do, you know, from a developmental standpoint. And, you know, later on in that, they got hung up in like, we got to win right now. We got to go out and just get players. We can't worry about recruits. So yes, hopefully an advanced scouting department. I mean, in my mind, you need to have answers for everybody. You know, even the Bernstein guy that they just hired that worked at Goldman Sachs, who does analytics and player valuation, like, you need to moneyball the roster also. You got to do some moneyball type of work with some of these players. But yeah, my hope is that this advanced scouting department gets Arkansas back on a level which every other team in the SEC pretty much, you know, has in order right now, or at least the top teams do. So yes, hopefully that changes. T-Fat. P. Denton 29 says, why is it a lot of people melt down when the Hogs don't get every player who's ranked in the top 5 at every position in the portal rankings? Because we melt down. This is football. It's the roller coaster. Unfortunately, that roller coaster, is it up? Is it just been going one direction? Is it just up? And it's just like, come on. When is this thing going to go? Or is it down? And it's just like, Somebody's going to end up turning that into a GIF, I think. I probably shouldn't have done that. All right, whatever. I don't know which is bad, the up or the down on the roller coaster. I guess it depends on if you like roller coasters. Yeah, people will freak out. Some of the most productive guys gets have been from smaller schools, without a doubt. Like, people will freak out over getting a D2 or 1AA guy. And I mean, you can easily point to John Ridgway. I'd take John Ridgway. I'd take Isaac Tesla. There's plenty of guys like that you would take. But yes, people will freak out. Packing a Hog 54. Come on. How big of a difference will having a GM and actual office staff make in getting a good portal haul? I think it'll make a massive difference. I mean, like, okay, we can talk about, how bad a job Arkansas did last year in the transfer portal, but they only did half bad. Like, let's think about this, okay? The defensive staff did a horrendous job evaluating talent and bringing in talent. Horrendous. They spent the majority of the money that they had on the defensive side of the ball in the secondary, and it was awful. They inherited a lot of problems from other people, a lot of guys that just weren't very good. Some of the guys that they chose to keep weren't very good, and the guys that they brought in. Julian Neal was probably the best one that they had, and they kind of got lucky because Stanford had that coaching change late, and, he had transferred there and ended up being like, well, I'll re-enter the portal, and Arkansas was able to get him. So they got lucky there. But, yeah, some of the linebackers that they brought in couldn't play. They weren't – I mean, first of all, the guys that they brought back didn't have the seasons that they had the year before, but the guys they brought in weren't good. They just weren't. I think they made the mistake of thinking like, oh, there'll be more talent left on the defensive line in the spring, and those guys weren't there. And it's kind of like when that portal window closed, I was like, holy – like, they've messed up on this defensive line. And that's something that we talked about all offseason. Like, yeah, maybe Taylor Green will end up being really good, and thought that he definitely had a chance to be. But what if they can't get the ball back to him? And we saw that like against Tennessee or Texas A&M, where they just ran the ball down, down their throat. So terrible job by the defensive staff on bringing in talent last year. And then on the offensive side of the ball, really good job. Like, they did a good job. Mike Washington was a hell of an evaluation. They deserve credit for that. Jaden Platt. Rohan Jones, guys. Rohan Jones wasn't somebody a bunch of people were talking about. He was better than Luke Has was for him, and stayed healthy. Corey Robinson at left tackle. It was a good left tackle for them. Caden Kittler, a really good center for them. A dramatic improvement at center from where they were the year before. And they brought in some other good, Shaq McCroy was a nice looking, never really cracked the starting lineup, but like physically and talent wise, like that, Shaq McCroy ended up being a good player, I think. He needs to stay at the same school wherever he ends up next time. Who else? All the wide receivers they brought in. Jalen Brown is a really good wide receiver. He ended up starting for them. Raylan Sharp. Cam Shanks, I wouldn't say like was the game breaker on special teams that they needed, but he made, he helped him at wide receiver. Ismail Cece, we didn't get to see him, but he was a guy that was rolling with the first group a good bit. Omega Blake was a nice get for him. Like, they did a good job bringing in offensive players. They couldn't finish a game out, and Talon, maybe they should have looked a different direction at quarterback, because Talon just did not, as good as that guy was in the first half of games, man, he just could not win them a game. And maybe it was robbed from him against Memphis and against Ole Miss because of the fumbles. But there's never a game that you can point to like, man, Talon Green led him down the field to a win. Never happened. Clip that. Okay. Well, man, I appreciate all you guys. It's been an interesting year, and hoping for better things in 2026 with the Ryan Silverfield era. Hoping for a great start to SEC play in basketball. Last year was tough. It was a tough start to SEC play, and there's some challenging games starting off again with Tennessee and Ole Miss and Auburn. It's a tough slate ahead, but I think we're going to see a lot better performance out of Arkansas basketball out of the gate. And I'm looking forward to better times in football. I feel like things are finally, at least in order here. Yeah, there was initial shock with Ryan Silverfield. We'd all wrapped our head around Alex Golish, which, again, guys, that was happening until dominoes started falling a certain way. And maybe Arkansas is better off with Ryan Silverfield. I mean, based on some of the things we're seeing right now, maybe with Auburn. Too early to judge any coach. I think he's got just as good a chance to succeed at Arkansas as any of the guys we were talking about as realistic options. Just as good a chance as long as he has the support. It looks like there is that with the coaching staff. I think they made some good hires with that. $2 million more than they spent last year on the coaching staff. We're seeing the advanced scouting department added, the football GM, the new player personnel guys, which the player personnel department was a disaster the last few years. It was not very good. So totally revamping that department, as I mentioned, advanced scouting department, got your analytics, player evaluation guy. Everything seems to be in order. And I'll tell you something that I like. Like, we can all agree, first of all, that traditionally Sam Pittman should have been fired a couple of years ago. Traditionally. And I know people get tired of me talking about the calendar, but guys, there's a reason why last year the only jobs that opened were like West Virginia and Purdue and North Carolina. Okay? It's because the new revenue sharing model was coming out, and athletic directors had to make sure that they were in a good financial position where they could allocate out those $20.5 million. Okay? We saw all the cuts that Arkansas made within the athletic department. They're replacing some of the guys that they cut now with players like, with people, personnel, with advanced scouting department people and football GM and, overall GM and all that kind of stuff. So last year, with the calendar the way it was, you fire your coach, the transfer portal opens, you lose all your players, the transfer portal, there's no opportunity to get players onto your roster. You just lose all your players, all the good players go somewhere else, and then your coach is hired. You're almost assuredly going to have a terrible football season. Look at the teams that had changeover. How did North Carolina do? How was Purdue this year? How was West Virginia? Like, the teams that had and it's the same the year before. Like, there's a couple of examples. Texas A&M, which obviously has a lot of resources. Indiana, which apparently hired the best coach in college football and brought a lot of his players from James Madison with him last year. But there just hasn't been a lot of turnover. Now look at this year. New calendar. Okay. Penn State, Virginia Tech, Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky, so on and so forth. Florida. I mean, guys, like, it's obvious, like, the calendar and being 1 year removed from that revenue sharing introduction has changed things. So what does Ryan Silverfield have to work with now? He has had legitimately, he was hired November 30th. He has had an entire month to meet with all the players, to talk to them about what their opportunities are at Arkansas or their opportunities elsewhere, to hire a complete coaching staff, to hire a complete support staff. He's had a month to do all this. And hopefully, hopefully they're doing the work behind the scenes that everybody else is doing and know who they're getting, basically. Like, it's not just like scrambling. So there is an opportunity in a lot of ways. Obviously, there's going to be an adjustment with a new staff and new coaches and all that stuff, and you would expect that in year one. But, guys, it is mitigated dramatically over what it has been in the past because of moving this transfer portal to January 2nd. Here's hope for a new year. Thank all of you people for watching. Thank our subscribers at HawgSports. Go to HawgSports.com, guys, to follow all this. We're going to have fun with it, just like we do with everything. We're going to be informative, and we're going to be fun. And you know what? We're going to overanalyze stuff, and we're going to overreact to stuff, and we're going to ride the roller coaster up and down, and it's going to be fun. That's what sports is supposed to be. It's supposed to hurt you, but it's supposed to be fun at the same time. It's supposed to rip your guts out, but give you overwhelming joy. And that's what we're going to do at HawgSports. So come join us over there, HawgSports.com. Promo code for Bet Saracen, Biddy, capital B, lowercase IDDY, 250, and get $250 back in bonuses. Hell of a deal. Visit our friends at Crain Team, Walker Brothers, Ozarks Go, and Blakeman's Fine Jewelry. And if you got a moment, go check out a Barn Dominium at Sutherland's, our sponsors for the Walk and Talk. All right, everybody. Appreciate you. Appreciate you joining us. Thanks to Danny West. Thanks to Connor Goodson. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com. Happy New Year.